Good evening, children. How are you? Yes? Excuse me. Yes, Kohima? So, what we were doing last class? Tell me. What were we supposed to do? What are we supposed to start in today's class? Yes. Kohima, Tetsu College. Am I audible? Good evening. Am I audible to all of you? Yes? Am I audible, children? Tell me. So what were we doing in the last class? What were we doing in the last class? Yes? Tell me. Which center is logged in apart from Kohima? Which is the other center logged in apart from Kohima? Tell me please. Yes. Yes. Okay. Tetsu College? How many of you are here? Tetsu College? How many of you are here from Tetsu College? Yes, children, tell me. How many of you are from Tetsu College now? Tetsu College, Dimapur. Tell me. Okay. So let's resume the topic. How many students are new for today's class? Tell me. How many students are new? How many of us are meeting for the first time? Yes, children? Tell me, how many of us are meeting for the first time? Kohima, please share your camera port number. Kohima Center, please share your camera port number so that we can be connected. Please share your camera port number, Kohima. Okay, so in the meantime you share and I will be continuing with the topic. Let's start. So what we were talking about in the last class, we were talking about digestion and absorption, isn't it? And I guess we completed a part from that class. What was the part? We were talking about few things, isn't it? We were talking about what is food, basically what is food. So I told you there only that food is basically made up of many different components like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, nucleic acids, all those things. So the basic process of digestion and absorption involves breaking down of those molecules by mechanical and biochemical processes, and after they are broken into simplest forms, they will be absorbed by our system. And this actually gives you a lot of energy to proceed your day-to-day activities, isn't it? So in that case, we studied what was actually the whole system started. The whole system started with a particular part of your digestive system, that was mouth. So mouth is the first part of your digestive system. Mouth is basically having, mouth is having a part which is called as oral cavity. Okay, oral cavity or buccal cavity. So oral cavity or buccal cavity is the part where you are having two things, that is first is teeth and second is tongue. Then we saw that teeth was of different types, like we talked about thecodont, we talked about heterodont, we talked about diaphaeodont, and then we talked about dental formula. That was what we did in the last class. So I will be resuming that particular part of the oral cavity now, and I will be okay. No issues, no problem. So let's continue the class. As such, we will be coming in direct. We'll face each other from the next class, hopefully. Okay. So I will be like continuing with the buccal cavity part. So your buccal cavity was having what? Was having teeth and was having tongue. Okay. Now your teeth part has been done. We have completed this part. I need to talk about tongue today. So your tongue, it has papillae. What is papillae? Papillae are small projections. What are papillae? Papillae are small projections, and these papillae have taste buds. Okay, so these papillae, they have what? They have different taste buds. For example, I will be just giving you an example about the taste buds present, like location of the taste buds present on your tongue. See, this particular part of your tongue has sweet taste bud. This part has sour. This is the part with salt, and this particular part is for bitter. Okay, good evening, Tetsu College. So this is a particular construction of the taste buds, how we are having it, how the supposedly construction should be. So if you talk about this whole thing, the food actually tastes in different taste because of these taste buds, that is sweet, sour, salt and bitter. Bitter at the end of your mouth, that's why at the end of your tongue, that's why when you swallow your food, okay, when you're done with swallowing your food, then only you come to know, oh, the food was bitter. Okay, sour in the center, sour in the sides of the tongue and salt in the center, and then sweet on the tip of the tongue. Okay, am I clear? Tell me, children. Tell me if I'm clear. How many of you like spicy food? How many of you like spicy food? Food with red chili powder, lots of red chili. How many of you? How many of you like your food spicy? Yes, there must be a lot of children. Tell me, how many of you like your food spicy? Yes. Nobody likes food spicy. Spicy food nobody likes. How is this possible? Yes? Tetsu College? Only 3 of us. Okay. No issues? So where is the taste bud for spicy food? Tell me. Where is the taste bud for spicy food? We did not locate taste bud for spicy food in this particular diagram. We talked about only sour, salt, bitter, sweet. What about spicy food? Anybody? Anybody can answer this question? That what about the spicy food? How can you taste the spicy food? Yes. All of you? Tetsu College, Kohima, especially the 3 children who like spicy food. Any idea? No idea. See, spicy food has no taste buds. You need to remember this thing, that there are no taste buds for spicy food, but spicy food is in fact, it goes and activates the pain receptors on your tongue. So, from now onwards, you should be clear that spicy, that is a flavor, is not actually a flavor, but is actually a sensation of pain. So, whenever you are eating spicy food, remember, it's a sensation of pain. Why? Because it gives you a feeling of pain, and those are basically activated when the pain receptors bind to the spicy food. So, when you are eating food with lots of red chili, they are all going to give you a pain sensation that actually three of us, you told me three of us you like, that actually three of you enjoy, isn't it? So, you enjoy that pain. I don't know what intensity of pain you can enjoy, but you enjoy that pain, and because of that, your receptors get activated in your brain and you like that particular food. Okay, many of us, we cannot eat that because, obviously because of pain reception. We are very much sensitive towards pain. So many of people, they don't like or they cannot tolerate spicy food. Okay, am I clear? Children, did you copy this? Kohima, Tetsu College? Did you copy this? Tell me. Yes, Tetsu College? Did you copy this? Yes, children, tell me. I guess you must have copied, so I am proceeding ahead. Now your oral cavity leads to second part of your digestive system, that happens to be your pharynx. Okay, so your pharynx is actually a common opening for two things. What? For food and air. The food part opens in esophagus and the air part opens in the trachea. Till now you must have been knowing esophagus as food pipe and trachea as windpipe. So from today onwards you will learn these particular terms, that is esophagus is for food pipe and trachea is for windpipe. Okay, trachea is windpipe. So you have two pipes. What are they? Name them. They are esophagus and they are trachea. And what is the particular opening into this cavity? It is called as pharynx. So pharynx opens into two common openings, that is esophagus and trachea. Okay. Now here we need to mention one thing. Food is prevented, isn't it? Since this is a common opening, I am putting a star mark and then explaining this point. I've just put a star mark over here and I am explaining the point here. Okay, this is a star mark point. Now what happens is, now food should not enter the windpipe. So food is prevented from entering the windpipe, or now we can call it trachea. We are clear with this term now. Okay, so entering the trachea. How? By a flap. Flap means a kind of cover. A flap-like structure. By a flap-like structure called as what? Called as epiglottis. So what happens to be epiglottis? Epiglottis happens to be a flap-like structure, just like a cover kind of thing, that prevents the entry of food in the trachea part. Am I clear, everybody? What kind of flap? A flap which is made up of cartilage. So it's actually a cartilaginous flap-like structure that is preventing the entry of food in the trachea. Am I clear, children? Tell me, Kohima, Tetsu College. Tetsu College is Dimapur, Nagaland, I guess. Correct me if I am wrong, please. Tetso College. Yes, Tetso College, you are Dimapur. You are from Dimapur, Nagaland, isn't it? Are you getting everything? Whatever is being taught? Okay, fine. You are not in the last class, I guess, Tetso College. This is your first class with me. This is your first class with me, Tetso College. Tell me. Then, you people were there in the last class? Were you there in the last class? Tell me. We did not connect or something happened like that. Okay. You are in class 11th? Tetso College? You are in class 11th? 11th standard? Okay. You are from 12th and you are sitting in a class that is for 11th. What is happening? You are having your physics class, I guess. Tetso College, you are having your physics class, I guess. Just check with the signal. I guess you are sitting in the wrong class. Yes, you are. This is class 11th biology going on. We are doing evolution in class 12th. That would be tomorrow. Please rush to your physics class. Nitin sir has been taking class since 3:30. Fine. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye. Okay, fine. So that was a mistake from Tetso College. They actually sat in class for class 11th. They were supposed to go for 12th class. Okay, bye. See you tomorrow. With assignment, obviously. Come back with assignment tomorrow. Okay. So let me come back. So we were actually discussing what, Kohima? I was talking about digestion process and we were supposedly talking about oral cavity. And this oral cavity is opening into what? Is opening into pharynx. And what is pharynx? If a question comes to you, you have to write that it is a common opening for food and air. So this food part opens into esophagus and the air part opens into the trachea. So esophagus is now, like you have been studying esophagus as what? As food pipe. And then trachea as what? Windpipe. Then food is prevented from entering the trachea by a flap-like structure. What is a flap-like structure called? It is called as epiglottis. The basic nature of this flap-like structure happens to be cartilage. It is made up of cartilage. So let me show you a small video that will clarify your knowledge about this thing more. Let's see a small GIF, in fact, not video exactly. See, look over here. Kohima, see this GIF. See, the food you are swallowing, this particular structure that is closed is called as epiglottis. The food is running down through the esophagus. See, once again, this particular structure is called as epiglottis. Sorry. This particular structure which is closing. Just see to it. Can you see? This is epiglottis which closes and prevents the food entering into the trachea. So the front part of your system is trachea and the posterior part happens to be the esophagus. So food is now moving very smoothly in esophagus and is prevented to enter in the trachea part. See, this epiglottis closes. As soon as the food starts to descend down, the epiglottis immediately closes. See this. Okay, isn't it wonderful how your system is constructed? They are constructed in such a nice manner that even the food is handled in a proper way to prevent any kind of confusion, isn't it? This is your system constructed, and nature has constructed in such a beautiful way. Okay, fine, this must be clear. So let's resume back. So we have epiglottis, which actually does what? Which actually prevents the food from entering into the trachea. Now come back to esophagus. Let me discuss more some important points about esophagus. So esophagus actually reaches to the next part of the alimentary canal, that is your stomach, the next part. So if I start numbering it, my oral cavity would be number 1. Let's see. We started from this thing, oral cavity or buccal cavity. I can name it number 1. This happens to be the number 1 part. This is what? This is buccal cavity or oral cavity. Then we have number 2, esophagus. Number 2 would be pharynx. Since trachea is not a part of digestive system, we are not going to give it a number. Number 3 is esophagus, and number 4 happens to be stomach. What is stomach? Stomach is a J-shaped bag. So J-shaped means the whole structure of the stomach is somewhat in the shape of a alphabet, that is J. J for so let's see, this J for jack part of stomach. So you will be dividing your stomach into 4 basic parts. So this is the esophagus part. This is what is esophagus is coming down. Okay, the immediate part into which esophagus opens in the stomach is called as cardiac part. This would be called as cardiac part of the stomach. This part is called as the fundus. Now fundus means the roof of any organ. Okay, from today onwards you learn this thing. And then we have is what? Body. And finally we have is pyloric part of the stomach. Okay, my image is coming over the diagram. Fine. So we have is what? The first part, cardiac, into which esophagus opens, the roof, that is fundus part, the body, which is the central part, and pyloric, which is the end part of your stomach. Okay, what is this I am drawing? Anybody among you? Anybody among you? What is this red structure I am drawing over here? This particular red thing I am drawing. Anybody? See, a sphincter is defined as a particular structure that closes to prevent the backflow of anything from the part it was sent. For example, suppose if you are, you are having a balloon. Okay, you are having a balloon. You are just filling air into it. Now, once the balloon is full with air, the amount of air you needed, what you do is that you just twist the balloon and tie it, isn't it? Why do you tie it, twist it and tie it? Just to prevent the outflow of air from the particular balloon part, isn't it? So that the air does not rush out. Similar kind of structure or sphincter, we call it sphincter, S-P-H-I-N-T-E-R. Similar kind of structures or sphincters are present in between the esophagus and the stomach part. Why? To prevent the backflow of food from your stomach into the esophagus. Just imagine a condition where you just had your lunch and then you started to walk or you started to run, you started to play in school also. So what can happen if esophagus does not have cardiac sphincter? The particular food which was present in your stomach can revert back. It can come back always. So to prevent that coming back of the food from the stomach part into the esophagus part, we have a sphincter. Similar kind of sphincter is also present to prevent the backflow of food from the intestine. You know, stomach proceeds with intestine. So to prevent the backflow of food from intestine into the stomach, the food should not go from intestine to the stomach. There is again one more sphincter called as pyloric sphincter. So what we have is, we have two sphincters or two windows that actually shut once the food passes from one level to other level. Like esophagus is one level, stomach is second level. So once 1 to 2 is happening, the entry of the food from 2 to 1 should not take place. So 1, that is esophagus, once it comes into the stomach, the exit should not be in the reverse direction. That is what is your sphincters are doing. So stomach is a J-shaped bag which is basically storing the food for somehow like 4 to 5 hours. Okay, food remains in the stomach. For 4 to 5 hours. That basically also depends on the type of food you have taken. If you have taken a food which is very, very light to digest, that will be staying obviously in your stomach for very, very small amount of time. For example, if you have simple dal and chapati, it will be staying for very, very small. And comparatively, if you are having a very heavy food, heavy meal as in you are having some non-veg, mutton, chicken, some those kinds of things, that will be obviously taking a comparatively longer time than fruits and vegetables, isn't it? So if that particular thing also remains, like depends on what is the quality of your food. If the food is very, very heavy means it is not digested easily, it would be always taking a higher time, more amount of time. Now, one of the most important things what needs to be mentioned here. Okay, so what is your favorite food, children? What do people like? How many of you are at Kohima Center? Tell me first this thing. How many of you are at Kohima Center now? Yes, tell me please. How many of you are at Kohima Center? Okay, fine. 3. So all three of you, what is your favorite food? What do you like to eat? What do you like to eat? Yes, Kohima. What do you like to eat? What is your favorite food? Yes, tell me. I'm waiting for your reply. What is your favorite food, Kohima? Okay. So, what if you go back home and you are offered your favorite food? Do you like it like in a huge amount or small amount? For example, what you told me, if suppose you have at your home spinach, okay, you have prepared spinach to get back your home. So, will you eat more or less? Spinach? Are you going to have it more or less? More or less? I guess less. And if you have your favorite food, okay, then you will be obviously having it more. Why? Because you have certain foldings in your enfoldings in your stomach that actually start to distend. Distend means they start to get a longer shape. So if it was like this, suppose for example it was like this earlier. So when you are started eating, when you like your food, you start to eat or you have a lot of water, it starts to increase in its surface. So you will be having more and more surface. So this enfoldings are called what? These enfoldings are called as gastric rugae. What is gastric rugae? Gastric rugae are the enfoldings in the stomach that actually distend. Distend means expand. accommodate food plus water. So if you are having more of food or more of water, this is going to distend or expand. The structure is called as gastric rugae. So this is what is your stomach is all about. Do you have any doubts up to this? Tell me, we have discussed 4 parts of your alimentary canal. Any doubts up to this? So we divided your digestive system into 2 parts. The first was alimentary canal, the second is associated glands. The alimentary canal part started with buccal cavity, then we had pharynx, esophagus, stomach. Okay. Now the next part after stomach, the 5th part after stomach happens to be what? It happens to be small intestine. Are you noting it down? Koima, are you noting down everything? Just keep on noting everything, okay? Just note it down. The small intestine has 3 parts. It is duodenum, then we have is jejunum, and we have is ileum. Okay, the small intestine is the longest part of your alimentary canal. It has a length of about 6 to 9 meters, long enough. Okay, and out of that, what we have? We have 3 different parts of your small intestine. What are they? They are called as duodenum, jejunum and ileum. I-L-E, it is U-M. Now, this ileum opens into the next part of your alimentary canal, that happens to be large intestine. What is that? It's called as large intestine. Now, large intestine again is divided into 3 parts. Let's see. It is divided into cecum, colon and rectum. What is cecum? Cecum is basically a blind sac with microorganisms. It is blind sac with microorganisms. So how many of you know this is good microorganism or bad microorganism? Is this good or bad? Yes, children? Kohima children, tell me. Is this good or bad? This is good microorganism or bad microorganism? Yes, Kohima. Is this good or bad? Tell me. Yes, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for your reply. Bad? No, see, this is good bacteria. Have you heard about good bacteria? You not? This is good bacteria. Why this is good? Because this good bacteria, this helps in, this forms actually vitamin K. Have you heard about vitamin K? This forms vitamin K, and this vitamin K is actually absorbed by them. It forms vitamin K, and apart from that, they also help in absorption of vitamin B to some extent. So these are said to be what? These are said to be good bacteria. They are good bacteria. Okay, so bacteria is also good, bacteria is also bad. But these happen to be good bacteria. Why good? Because they help in a process that is important. Why it is important? Because it helps in absorption of vitamin B and production of vitamin K. Okay, have you done with this? Let us start with colon, the next part of your large intestine. When you talk about colon, colon is further divided into 3 parts. Okay, let's specifically take up colon. So colon is divided into 4 parts. Your new NCERT shows 4 parts. The first part of the colon is called as ascending colon. Then we have is transverse colon. Then we have is descending colon, and finally we have is sigmoid colon. Remember the sequence, the same sequence you have to learn. I'll show you how to learn. 3 and 4. See, this is a typical structure of the this small intestine all over here. Now this is what is the cecum part. This is the vermiform appendix. Okay, we are all aware that vermiform appendix is a vestigial organ. What is a vestigial organ? What is a vestigial organ? Yes, children, tell me. Koima, what is vestigial organ? That means it is of no use. Vestigial means it is of no use. It does not have any use. This particular part is called as ascending colon. Okay, can you see this? This is ascending colon since it is going upward. Then we have this is parallel. So parallel means in biology we need to use the term transverse. So transverse colon. This is coming down. So this is descending colon. This is moving in this way. And over here in the rectum, just above the rectum part, we have is sigmoid colon. So this happens to be the rectum and this happens to be the anus. This is the construction of your large intestine. Am I clear? So what we have is, we have first part ascending colon, then we had transverse colon, then we had descending colon, and we had sigmoid colon. And I told you this thing that your cecum is the first part, colon happens to be the second part, and between these structures there is a particular structure which is vestigial called as vermiform appendix. Why vestigial? Because of it is of no use. Means it used to be of use in our ancestors like the people who actually used cellulose in their diet. Since we cook our food, we don't have any use of it. Okay, so it was useful where? It was used in those animals. It is useful in animals with cellulose uptake. So if you are eating cellulose, your cellulose is not digested. Why? Because your vermiform appendix has no role. So it would be helpful for those people, those animals who have cellulose in their diet. Okay? Am I clear, Kohima? Tell me. Do you need more explanations? Did you copy everything? Yes, children, tell me. Is this clear? Large intestine, and then we went ahead to describe colon, and then I told you the structure of colon. I told you what is appendix, vermiform appendix, what is it? So it is of use in those organisms or those animals who have much of cellulose in their diet. So if you don't have cellulose in your diet, you don't have much of role of vermiform appendix, and in that way gradually it started to become vestigial organs. Vestigial organ means the organ which has no use in the organism. We call it to be vestigial in their action. Am I clear? Tell me, all the children, all three of you tell me. Am I clear? So this is what is you are supposed to do. Okay? So this is we have done up till now. So up till now we have actually completed the alimentary canal. We can see that we started from a particular part that was oral cavity, and then we talked about pharynx, then esophagus and stomach, then small intestine, and finally we are talking about large intestine. So this brings an end to the first part of your digestive system, that was alimentary canal. Now before we end it, we need to see the layers of the alimentary canal. First tell me if you are clear with these things or not. Yes. Just tell me yes or no. Are you clear? Tell me, children. Just tell me yes. Or you can use Y and N also. Y for yes and for no. Are you clear? Okay. Did you copy everything? Did you copy everything, children? You did not miss anything, no? Tell me. Okay, very good. So shall we move ahead? Shall we move ahead? What chapter is going on in your school? Tell me. What chapter is going on in your school? Which chapter is going on? Which chapter is going on in your school? Let us start with the layers of the alimentary canal. The outermost layer is called as serosa. So what is serosa? Serosa is the outermost layer of your alimentary canal. Okay, second is muscularis. Muscularis is made up of two different kind of muscles. The inner is circular and the outer is made up of longitudinal muscles. So you have two different kinds of muscles, that is muscularis. The inner muscularis is made up of circular muscles and the outer is made up of longitudinal muscles. I will be showing you an image immediately. Then we have is submucosa. So what is submucosa? The submucosa is made up of loose connective tissue. Now connective tissue, you can imagine connective tissue to be a sort of tissue that connects two surfaces. So instead of being dense like bone or cartilage, it's very loose in its nature. Loose means it does not have much of dense kind of structure. So, and the last and innermost structure, this is the innermost layer called as mucosa. So, this mucosa is having a variety of role, but before going to that, we have to see the structure of these alimentary canals. See. So this outermost happens to be serosa. This is muscularis. This is submucosa, and then innermost is mucosa, and this happens to be the lumen. Lumen means the empty part inside any organ is called as lumen. Like the empty space in the blood vessel where the blood is carried would be called as the lumen of the blood vessel. So we have these four layers. The first one is called as, it is called as what? It is called as serosa. Then we have muscularis. Then we have submucosa, and then we have mucosa. So look over here, immediate. So we have the first layer, that is serosa. We have second layer, that is muscularis. Third layer, submucosa. Fourth layer, that is mucosa. So we have four different layers in the alimentary canal, serosa, muscularis, submucosa and mucosa. These are 4 layers. Okay? Fine. Let's see what structures actually mucosa form. Mucosa forms the gastric rugae. Just now we have seen what is a gastric rugae. That was, you told me your favorite food and I told you that if you are getting that food, you can eat more. Isn't it? So this forms gastric rugae. It forms villi. How many of you have heard about villi earlier? How many of you have heard about villi earlier also? Tell me. This is in stomach, villi in intestine. Now these villi, they have what? These villi have a special structure which is actually called as microvilli. See? So villi has microvilli, means super fine structure. Villi themselves are fine structures. And these super fine structures have further fine structure. Let us see how is this, like, how they look like. Let's see. So, this is villi. Okay. Just drawing small part of it. And this villi has further divisions on its surface. So if you just take a small piece out and see that, this would be something like this. See, this is what is called as microvilli. So villi further has divisions, okay, fine structures, and those fine structures are called as microvilli. So if you very, very carefully see to this structure, doesn't this structure seem to you that they are kind of brush? See, the brush what you use in the morning, if you see very minutely, they are having this kind of structure, isn't it? So the microvilli is supposed to be give an appearance of, or it looks like brush border epithelium. Brush border means, just take your toothbrush, you can see many bristles over your toothbrush. So that kind of structure is actually present on the surface of the microvilli. So it gives appearance of brush border. This is what is actually going on in your villi. So this gives an appearance of what? Brush border. So this is what is villi. Villi, first of all, is a part of your mucosa, just like the gastric rugae in stomach. Villi we have in intestine. So this villi has further divisions called as microvilli, and this microvilli has an appearance of a brush. Just remember your brush that you use every morning, every night. That particular brush has some bristles over them. Similar kind of structure is constructed in the microvilli type also. Am I clear, everybody? Children, tell me yes, no. Am I clear up to this? Did you copy everything? Just let me know if you miss out something. I will be repeating that slide again. Or if you are not able to understand anything, just let me know. Okay, so what we have studied till now? What did we study till now? Okay, very good. Any other problem apart from today's work? Any other problem you wish to share? Apart from studies part, I got it. You don't have any problem from the study part. But any other thing you want to share with us? Any kind of, anything you wish to share? What is going on in your school? Tell me first. Yes, Koima, tell me please. Yes, children, do you want to share any kind of problem, any kind of thing? It can be anything, not essentially problem only. You want to share something with us? Okay. So, I guess you will be sharing that in no time. First, you are discussing with your friends. Nothing to share. Okay, that's nice. So, what we have is next we will be seeing some more functions of the mucosa. Two things we saw about mucosa, that was what? Two things that we saw about mucosa was, first was the mucosa is actually having gastric rugae. See, this is number one. Then it formed villi, number 2. And if you are moving ahead, the third function of the mucosa, let's see. The third function of mucosa happens to be what? The third function of the mucosa, it forms glands. Okay. Forms glands that help in lubrication of food. So they help in lubrication of food. And if you talk about its one more function in intestine, mucosa forms lymph vessels, and they are called as lacteals. What are they called? They are called as lacteals. What are they? They are lymph vessels of which part? In intestine. Okay. So you must have read about lymph in your primary classes. You must be aware what is lymph. Do you know what is lymph? Lymph is the fluid which is present in between the tissues. Okay, so they have a different type of system as well in which only lymph flows. So just like your blood vessels, you have lymph vessels also. And these lacteals, what they do? These lacteals, they help in fat absorption. You will be seeing in this class also. So these lacteals, they help in fat absorption. So the sole role of lacteals happen to be helps in fat absorption. Let's see once more. So this mucosa forms, next function of mucosa, let's see. This forms goblet cells. Mucosa forms goblet cells in the stomach. And what is goblet cell doing? What is goblet cell doing? Goblet cell secretes mucus. So this mucus is actually essential to keep your food, keep your stomach safe from the HCl. We all know that there is a very high acidic HCl present in your stomach. So that high HCl can damage your stomach as well if they are present over there. Highly acidic HCl. So what we need is, we need a particular kind of layered structure that actually prevents the goblet cell, that prevents the your stomach from the particular acidity of the HCl. So that is what is done by the goblet cells. So what goblet cells do? Goblet cells actually secrete mucus, and this mucus is actually going to prevent the formation of any kind of damage. It prevents any kind of damage to your stomach. So this is what is goblet cell doing. And then further, if you move ahead, they also form sixth function of mucosa. They form gastric glands. We will be seeing gastric glands today only. What are gastric glands? But now I'm just writing gastric glands. And then they also form intestinal glands. So we can say that the glands of the stomach, of the alimentary canal, they are all formed from the mucosa layer. So it's very, very clear now. So they form the intestinal glands. What kind of intestinal glands? We will be seeing that soon. Okay. So this is what is actually your layers of alimentary canal have the importance. So outermost is serosa, then we have muscularis, followed by submucosa, and then mucosa. The mucosa over here looks to have maximum functions where they form gastric rugae in stomach, villi in intestine. Villi has further structures just like brush, the bristles of the brush, so called as microvilli, which has a brush border appearance. Then third function of mucosa happens to be that it helps, has glands, which actually helps in the lubrication of the food. And then we have is what? We have intestinal mucosa forms the lymph vessel also. So you must have studied about lymph vessels. Lymph is what? Lymph is a tissue fluid which is present in between tissues. But however, some of the lymph is actually also concentrated in a lymphatic system. Just like your blood vascular system, you have a lymphatic system as well. And that lymphatic system has a special structure in your intestine called as lacteals. Lacteals, lacteals. And what is the lacteal doing over there? It is actually helping you in absorption of the fat. Okay. Then it forms goblet cells in the stomach, which actually secrete mucus, and it also forms gastric glands and intestinal glands as well. So these are the functions of your, these happens to be the function of your mucosa. Okay. Tell me if you have missed out copying something. Just let me know, please. If you have missed out copying something, just let me know. Yes, Kohima? Tell me if you have missed out copying something. Everything is clear? Okay, fine. So shall I proceed? Okay. So your first part is over now. Your first part, that was your alimentary canal part, is over now. You have done with the layers of the alimentary canal as well. So we will be starting with the next part. That was your associated glands. Okay. So let's start from the mouth part, buccal cavity part. Let's see one by one what are the glands that help you in digestion of food. The first obviously happens to be the salivary gland. So what is salivary gland? Salivary glands are actually, they are known to produce saliva. They produce saliva, and there are 3 salivary glands we have. What are they? They happen to be, first of all, they are this is called as parotid, and then we have is submaxillary. The submaxillary one is also called as submandibular, and then we have is sublingual. Okay. Now, parotid is just in front of your ear, somewhere here, or on your cheek. So this is basically present in front of your ears or cheek. Subparotid glands. Submaxilla. Maxilla means your upper jaw. This is your maxilla. Okay. And this is your mandible. So submaxilla means below your upper jaw. Submandibular means below your lower jaw. So it can be either ways. It's somehow placed over here. Okay. So below your upper jaw or below your lower jaw. Either ways you are correct. So this is somewhat here. And then you have a sublingual. Sublingual means just below your particular area from where language is conveyed. That means just below your tongue. So over here you have sublingual. So parotid under cheek, and then you have is below the lower jaw, that is submandibular or submaxillary. This is below the lower jaw. and then you have is sublingual. This is sub means below. This is below your tongue. So these are the positions of the salivary glands. So you have 3 salivary glands which are known to produce one secretion called as saliva. Let me know if you are done with this. Clear? Salivary gland produces what? Salivary gland produces saliva. You have 3 salivary glands, parotids, submaxillary or submandibular or sublingual. Done? Just let me know if anything is not clear. Just let me know about it. Done, Kohima? Done, children? Tell me, all 3 of you. Okay, very good. Things are clear? All the things are clear, tell me. Tell me the things are clear. And what is going on in your school? I'm asking you this question 3rd time. Which chapter is going on in your school? School started? Has your school started? Tell me. Okay, you do not start with school now. Okay, then I was thinking that if your teacher has started some chapter, I will be following them. But if it's no, obviously we will be like going on our own pace. Okay, so this is what is the first of the salivary gland, first of the glands called as salivary gland. Let's see the second part of the salivary. So second part, esophagus has no glands. This is important thing about esophagus. It has no glands. So your esophagus has no glands, so it's not of much worry, because obviously it must be there, so we need to learn that also, isn't it? I used to be so happy in my childhood when I did not have anything to learn from that particular part. Same is the condition with esophagus as well. So let's see directly what is stomach having. Stomach is having gastric glands. So gastric glands, we are going to divide it into 3 categories. The first is said to be the goblet cells. Just now we did goblet cells. Then we have is peptic cells. These peptic cells are also called as chief cells. Chief means important. And next we have is oxyntic cells. They are also called as parietal cells. Okay. So this goblet cell is doing what over here? It is actually secreting mucus. Just now we did this. And what is chief cell doing? Chief cell is actually secreting a proenzyme called as pepsinogen and prorenin. So if I am putting a pro or this kind of suffix, this kind of prefix, what they indicate? They actually indicate the inactive nature. So these are what? These are inactive enzymes. So if you use these enzymes to do a particular process, execute a process, that is, if you wish to digest some part of your food using these enzymes, you won't be able to do. Why? Because these are inactive enzymes. And the inactive enzymes are called what? Just I am teaching you something extra. They are called as zymogens. The inactive enzymes are called as zymogens. So, if a question comes to you, what is a zymogen? From now onwards, you would be able to say that zymogen are what? Zymogen are the inactive enzymes. Means they are not activated. What is an enzyme? An enzyme is a biomolecule, or enzyme is a substance that actually speeds up the rate of a reaction. So if you need to increase the rate of a reaction, you need to have an enzyme, isn't it? But you need to have that enzyme in active state. What about if it is in active state? If it is in inactive state, it is called as zymogen. So inactive enzymes are called as zymogen, and then we have pepsinogen and prorenin. Now let's come up to the oxantic cells or parietal cells. Oxantic cells or parietal cells secrete HCl's and Cassell's intrinsic factor. Something extra I am teaching you. Cassell's intrinsic factor is not in your NCERT, I know, but I am teaching you a little bit of extra thing, just a little thing. So Cassell's intrinsic factor, what is it doing? It is actually helping in, we can say helps in absorption of vitamin B12. And why is vitamin B12 required? This is for RBC formation. One of the factors for RBC formation, in fact. So you require vitamin B12 for what function? You require vitamin B12 for the purpose of RBC formation. So your RBC will not be formed unless and until you have vitamin B12 absorption. And how is it absorbed? It is absorbed by Cassell's intrinsic factor released from where? Released from oxantic cell or parietal cells. Done? Copied all? So what is peptic cell secreting? Peptic cell is secreting pepsinogen or prorenin. Means plus prorenin, not out of these two, but yes, plus prorenin, both of them. And what is Cassell's intrinsic factor? Where is from Cassell's intrinsic factor and HCl coming from? They are coming from oxantic or parietal cells. Tell me if you have any doubt till now. Yes, children? So we have two things completed now. We have completed the saliva part, the salivary gland part, and we have completed the gastric cells part, gastric glands part. Yes, Kohima, done? Tell me if you have any doubt. Which is the other center connected apart from Kohima? Apart from Kohima and Tetsuo College, the other center connected? Okay. Itanagar, Government High School, Itanagar. Yes. Government High School, Itanagar. Okay, I'm proceeding. Let us proceed ahead. So we are done with gastric glands, done with many things in fact. Now next thing what we have is, we have next thing about number 3, the associated gland number 3 we have is liver. So first and foremost let us have a structure of liver. How is the liver? So your liver has two lobes. Okay, your liver has two lobes, and thus you have two different ducts also. Your liver has so this is what is called as gallbladder. These are the two lobes of liver. These are the ducts of the liver called as hepatic. So anything which is pertaining to liver is called as hepatic. This is called as hepatic duct. This is the duct of gallbladder called as cystic duct. This is the common bile duct. Okay, this is the pancreatic duct. So this is the pancreas. So this happens to be the duct from pancreas called as pancreatic duct. So when pancreatic duct and the common bile duct, they come together, it is called as hepatopancreatic duct. So this hepatopancreatic duct has secretions from both pancreas as well as liver. Okay, so what does gallbladder do? Gallbladder actually stores the secretion of liver. So the secretion of liver is called as bile. So bile is released from the liver, and what does gallbladder do? Gallbladder actually stores the bile, and this stored bile is gradually released by the common bile duct, where they unite to form a common duct with pancreas as well, and that common duct is called what? That common duct is called as hepatopancreatic duct. So this hepatopancreatic duct is a common duct which carries both bile juice as well as pancreatic juice. So this has a particular structure which is basically very helpful, and just like sphincters we have till now, we had many sphincters in stomach. We have one more sphincter over here, is called as sphincter of Oddi. This is called as sphincter of what? Sphincter of Oddi. What does sphincter of Oddi do? What is its work? Yes, tell me, Kohima, what is the work of sphincter of Oddi? Tell me, Kohima, I'm waiting. What is the work of sphincter of Oddi? Yes. Tell me. What's the work of sphincter of Oddi? What must be the work of sphincter of Oddi? Tell me. Yes, children, tell me what must be the work of sphincter of Oddi? What was the sphincter of cardiac sphincter doing? What was cardiac sphincter doing? Yes, Kohima, tell me. What was cardiac sphincter doing? Go back to your stomach part. See over here. What was the cardiac sphincter doing? Let us go back to the particular part. You know it. I know you know. What was cardiac sphincter doing over here? See, the stomach part. Earlier this class we did this. This is cardiac sphincter. What was this doing? What was this doing? Sphincter. What were these doing? Tell me, children. You know the answer. I know you know. Tell me. Just try. You'll be able to answer. Just try. Try a little bit. What was cardiac sphincter doing? Yes, outflow and backflow. Exactly. Very good. See? So similarly, this sphincter is doing what? Anywhere you find a term sphincter, you have to correlate with this thing only. So a sphincter is always there to control the backflow, outflow. So how much amount of juice is supposed to come into the duodenum? This is what is called as duodenum. This part is duodenum. This is the first part of your small intestine. Just now we did this, isn't it? Just now we have done the first part of small intestine happens to be duodenum. Then we have is jejunum, and after that we have is ileum. So what is sphincter of Oddi? Sphincter of Oddi actually checks the amount of bile and pancreatic juice that should come in the duodenum. Okay? So how much to be poured into duodenum is actually decided by sphincter of Oddi. Sphincter of Oddi decides how much amount of juice, that is bile juice, as well as this juice from the pancreas, that is pancreatic juice, should come into the duodenum. Okay? So this controls the inflow. So wherever you see this term sphincter, you can just correlate it with the outflow, inflow, backflow, all those things. So to have a control over the flow of any substance, we put a sphincter over it. You can compare a sphincter to a valve of a tap also. So you want to close the tap. Once you have used the tap, what do? You just close it, isn't it? Rotate and close it. So that can also be a kind of sphincter, that you want to open the tap, the sphincter is open, the water comes out. You don't want the water now, you have done with the work, and then what you do is that you close the tap. So once you close the tap, this sphincter is closed. Okay? Am I clear? Yes, Kohima, tell me, am I clear now? So wherever you are listening this term sphincter, you have to just correlate with backflow, outflow, inflow, every flow. Okay, very good. So did you copy this diagram? Did you copy this diagram? Tell me. Just you can type yes and no. Unless and until you practice, you start practicing. When you are done with the practicing on typing on the keyboard, we will be chatting a lot. Okay. So till then, you can just write your answer 3, yes, no. Or if you have a question, obviously, you can ask that question too. So I'm moving ahead, keeping the thing in mind that you must have done up to this. So we shall move ahead now. So what is the next thing up to after this part? What we have is, this was the third part, I guess. This liver was third, this was third, no doubt. But after liver, we have just drawn a part of the pancreas, isn't it? So let's discuss first pancreas. So what are pancreas basically? What kind of glands are pancreas? Pancreas, since childhood you have actually studied that pancreas is an exocrine as well as endocrine, isn't it? So what we call these kind of glands? These kind of glands are called as heterocrine glands. So since childhood you have studied pancreas to be exocrine part. So this exocrine part is actually of our use in this. This is going to release digestive juices which are rich in digestive enzymes. So you need to digest your food, you need this part of your pancreas. And this is what is the particular part which is going to release the hormones. Hormones like the insulin. Have you heard about insulin? Tell me, have you heard about insulin earlier? Children, have you heard about insulin earlier? You must have heard, yes. See? So endocrine part is releasing what? Endocrine part is releasing hormones. And this part is releasing what? This is releasing digestive enzymes. So you have two parts. The first, the exocrine part, which is of your use in this chapter, and then we have is endocrine part. The endocrine part is actually responsible for secretion of certain hormones like insulin and glucagon, that we will be doing in the last chapter of this syllabus only. Okay, 22nd number chapter is for that. So what kind of digestive juices? So it is said that this pancreas is actually responsible for releasing digestive enzyme that can digest all the components of your food. Okay, so all the components means you talk about carbohydrates, you talk about proteins, you talk about fats, you talk about nucleic acid, everything. Nucleic acid, you know what is nucleic acid? Yes, children, tell me what is nucleic acid. Do you know about it? Yes? You know what is nucleic acid? Nucleic acid is DNA and RNA. You must have studied DNA and RNA in school, in 10th class, 9th class, isn't it? So what is this doing, digestive juices? These are actually having digestive enzymes. And what is this digestive enzyme doing? This digestive enzyme is actually able to digest each and every component of your food. So all the components, carbohydrate, protein, fat, nucleic acid, will be digested by the digestive. We will be going in detail of all those things. Okay, don't be worried now. We will be going in detail of all those things. For now, you can learn that this is what is pancreas supposed to do. Okay. Tell me, wish to have anything detailed? If I need to detail anything to you, just let me know, please. Yes, children? Okay? Am I clear up to this? Then let me know if I am not. I will be revising that part once again. What is the pH of HCl? Okay, very good. What is the pH of HCl? What is the pH of HCl that you are releasing over here? See? What is the pH of HCl over here? Tell me. Yes, Kohima, tell me, children. Yes, Kohima, children, please tell me what is the pH of HCl over here? Any idea? Any idea for the pH of HCl? This happens to be very, very acidic. 1.2 to 1.6 pH. Okay. This has a pH of how much? This has a pH of 1.2 to 1.6. This is very, very acidic. Okay, highly acidic. If you try to put your finger inside this pH, you will be actually left with only the bones of the finger. Only the bones part will be left. All flesh will be gone. So this is very, very acidic, highly acidic. Have you seen HCl in your school lab? Have you seen, Kohima? Have you seen, children? Have you seen HCl in your school lab? Tell me, have you seen HCl in your school lab? Are we connected, Kohima? Kohima, are we connected? just make it, we'll follow your NCERT, and just a small correction, it is of 1.8. Okay, let's learn 1.8. Are we connected, Kohima? Tell me. Yes, Kohima, are we connected? Okay, let's start with the digestion of the food. So first and foremost, what is happening? When you talk about digestion of food, it's actually a process which is mechanical as well as biochemical, isn't it? This we were discussing in the last class also. So what happens is, first and foremost, in buccal cavity, the food is masticated. Masticated means churned, mixed very nicely with the help of teeth and tongue. So when you are masticating the food with the help of teeth and tongue, you're actually turning it, mixing with saliva also. And when you mixed it with saliva, churn it properly, the food does not remain food, but it is called as bolus. Food turns into bolus. So what is bolus? Bolus is actually the mass of food which you are supposed to form when you chew your food very nicely, you mix it with saliva. The whole compact form of food is actually called as bolus. So this is what is bolus formation takes place, and this bolus is actually swallowed. You swallow this bolus. You're going to swallow the bolus, and this reaches the part of your esophagus. And esophagus has a special kind of movement called as peristalsis. So what is peristalsis? Peristalsis is actually a wave of contraction and relaxation. Okay. These are waves of contraction and relaxation. This is somehow like this. Food is over here. In the next phase, it would be sent more downwards over here. So this is contraction and relaxation phase, which actually happens in esophagus. And because of this contraction and relaxation phase, what happens is my food actually reaches down the esophagus, and somehow it manages enter inside the stomach. So waves of contraction and relaxation. So from esophagus, the food reaches in the stomach. So bolus reaches in the stomach. So over here, let's once again resume. So buccal cavity, the food is mixed with saliva. Over here, let's see the composition of saliva once for more clear detailing. Let's see saliva over here. So when you talk about saliva, I'm just taking a pause over here, putting a star mark, and I will start with saliva over here. So what is saliva supposed to do? What is saliva made up of? We just saw that saliva is actually secreted by 3 different kinds of salivary glands. What were they? They were parotid, submaxillary or submandibular and sublingual. So we had basically 3 kinds of different salivary glands that secrete a product called as saliva. Now if somebody asks you that what is saliva made up of? Saliva is actually basically secreted in the oral cavity. You need to write about saliva. If a question comes to you, secreted in oral cavity, what does it have? it actually have electrolytes. It has electrolytes. What kind of electrolytes? It has sodium, it has potassium, it has chlorine, it has bicarbonate ions. It also has certain enzymes. What kind of enzymes they have? They have two different kinds of enzymes, that is lysozyme it was correct earlier. It was lysozyme, and what we have is next enzyme that is called as salivary amylase. So they have two different kinds of enzymes. Both of them have different function. This lysozyme is actually antibacterial. So if in any case a bacteria happens to enter inside your food, this bacteria would be most probably killed by this saliva. Saliva has a pH of 6.8. Okay. So what is salivary amylase doing? Salivary amylase is actually, it helps in breaking down starch. This breaks starch, or better we say, this helps in digestion of starch. This is going to help you in digestion of starch or the carbohydrate part of your food. You all know what is the carbohydrate part of your food? Tell me, what kind of carbohydrate do you have? Tell me, what is the carbohydrate food of your part of your food called? Just mentioning carbohydrate over here, so that you don't get confused. What is starch? So starch is a type of carbohydrate. Name the carbohydrate part of your food, children. Yes, Kohima? Tell me, since long you have not answered anything. What happened? Not able to understand anything, or you don't, not connected? Yes, children, tell me, it has electrolytes like sodium, potassium, chloride. Name the carbohydrate part of your food, children. Answer my question, please. Then we have is lysozyme. What is lysozyme? This is antibacterial. And then what we have is salivary amylase. So what is salivary amylase doing? Salivary amylase is actually helping you in digest the carbohydrate component of your food called as starch. Tell me if we can move ahead. Yes, Kohima, I'm waiting for your reply. Are we connected? You have many carbohydrate forms in your food. You have chapati, you have rice, or you have potato. So these potato, rice, sweet potato, isn't it? These all are like particular different forms of the starch. So let's see how does the starch is digested. So you are only able to digest 30% of your starch. Okay, I knew there's some problem. Okay, no problem. Is it responding now, Kohima? Is it sorted out now? There's some issue. Ask your coordinator to sort it out, please. Okay, nice. So name you the carbohydrate parts. So things are clear up to this? Let me know, please. Digestion of food is clear? Digestion of food is clear? Mechanical and biochemical. Just let me know if things are not clear. Then we talked about what is bolus. Okay, very good. Then we talked about that we swallow bolus. So whatever you are chewing, you are actually making a compact ball and then you are swallowing it. That particular ball, compact ball mixed with saliva and finally masticated is actually called as what? Is actually called as bolus. So you are going to swallow the bolus and that bolus is actually going to enter inside your esophagus, and your esophagus has certain special movements. And what are the movements called? The movements are called as peristalsis, and this peristalsis actually helps you in sending the food down in the stomach region. So when you are sending the food in the stomach region, what happens? It actually starts to go into the process of digestion. So before continuing that, we thought of talking about saliva. So what was saliva? Saliva was basically the system which was basically giving you secretion in oral cavity, and this is like having different kinds of components. What are the components? This has electrolytes, these have enzymes, and these electrolytes and enzymes, they are actually helpful in the functioning of saliva. It seems now our system is not working fine. Okay, so are we clear up to this? Shall we proceed further? Are we clear up to this? Tell me. So I'm proceeding further. So starch, only 30% of your starch is being digested in your buccal cavity, and that to help of the enzyme of your saliva that is called as salivary amylase. This salivary amylase acts at a pH of specifically 6.8. So if you increase the pH or you decrease the pH, the starch digestion will not take place. So just imagine a big wall near your house. Okay, just imagine a big wall near your house, and it starts to, like, some people come and start to break it. There's a big wall near your house, and there are some people who come to break the wall. Okay, they want to construct something over there. So when they start to break the wall, obviously there will be a phase when the wall will be broken into bigger pieces. So what you will be doing is that you will be breaking the wall first into bigger pieces. So the similar way, when you are actually having a big wall like starch, you start to break it with enzymes also. The first important thing what we will be having is that we will be having a particular small product, not the smallest, but the small product, which is maltose. So maltose is a less complex form compared to starch. Starch is very, very complex. Okay, complex in terms of it's a big wall. Okay, so when you start to break the wall, the first of all what you will be getting is, you will be getting bigger pieces, and then those bigger pieces will be further broken down into more smaller pieces. So this maltose happens to be the big piece of the bigger wall. The wall is very big. The maltose happens to be one of the big pieces of this big wall. So starch is very complex, broken down into less complex maltose. Let's see what happens next. So when the food starts to go into the stomach, now food digestion now starts. So this was the particular digestion of the first and foremost thing, that is the starch. Now the food will reach your stomach. The food reaches the stomach. Let's see what happens over here. Am I clear up to this, Kohima? Food reaches the stomach part. So in stomach we have done this thing that we are supposed to have many different kinds of glands. We have done that part, isn't it? We know we have gastric glands. Gastric glands, they secrete mucus, they secrete pepsinogen. So let's see what happens. How this pepsinogen, remember I told you that pepsinogen is actually inactive. See this? Am I clear, Kohima, up to this? See, pepsinogen happens to be inactive. I told you these are the inactive enzymes, or called as zymogen. Okay? So this pepsinogen is now going to get activated by what? By the HCl. So it activates into pepsin, and then we have is prorenin, which again is acted upon by HCl and converted into renin. So what we have is, we have two systems, we have two enzymes which were inactive earlier, now they are active. So pepsin and renin are now active. Let's see what pepsin and renin is now going to do with the food. So we are done with the particular part. So sorry. So pepsin is going to digest the protein part of your food. So on the protein, the pepsin is going to act and it is going to convert it into proteose and peptones. Again, the smaller walls. The protein happens to be the big wall, just like starch, and just like maltose, the smaller parts of this big wall is proteose and peptones. Mind it, you don't mix and mix things. Okay, protein will be always broken down into proteose and peptones, never into maltose, because maltose is sugar. So starch is a form of sugar. Sugar will be only broken down into sugar. And protein is a different component. Protein is like, which is found in dal, which is found in pulses, which is found in non-veg food. So you need not mix these things. So proteoses are a type of protein. Peptones are a type of protein. And those protein products are broken down by an enzyme which is called as pepsin. Okay. So pepsin is converting the particular protein into proteoses and peptoses. And these proteoses and peptones, they are actually further broken down, but not in stomach. So let's see a small role of what is the HCl doing over here. This HCl, this provides acidic pH, first of all, of how much? 1.8 to activate pepsin and renin. So we did not talk about renin much. Let's see, it's antimicrobial also. Since this is very high in pH, this is acting against microbes also. This is antimicrobial in property also. Okay, let's see what renin is doing over here. Let's quickly have a So renin is actually a kind of enzyme which is only and only present in infants. Infants mean small children which are only and only dependent on milk. So renin is going to digest the milk protein. Milk protein is what? Milk protein is casein, and it is going to convert this milk protein into, again, same product, that is proteoses and into calcium paracasinate. And on this calcium paracasinate, pepsin can act. The only difference between casein and calcium paracasinate is that casein happens to be a soluble product and this is an insoluble product. So this is pepsin converted into proteoses and peptones. So we have a similar kind of breakdown product, the only difference being that this is only for protein of milk and that happens to be protein of all sort. So we need to convert the renin part, we need to convert the casein part by the help of renin, and this renin is again going to act only in infants. We don't have renin. Do you have renin? Tell me, Kohima, do you have renin? Do you have renin in your system? Yes, Kohima, tell me. Do you have renin in your system? Kohima, are you logged in? Should you have renin? Why? Why should you have renin? Tell me. Are you an infant? See, I mentioned over here very, very nicely that this is only and only present in infants. See? Can you see this? Are you an infant? No, you're not. Infant means a child who is always and always depending on. Yes, you're not. Surely you are not. So your system of casein digestion means you must be having milk. That might be a question in your mind, running in your mind. And what about milk we have? You must be having 1 to 2 glasses of milk per day. So your milk will be digested by pepsin. Since in small children, the milk intake is more than 1 to 2 glasses. They have all of milk only. So to digest that all of milk, they actually need a special system that is for renin. And moreover, they are very small. The pepsin is not that strong either. So what happens is that they have an additional system over pepsin. They have renin also. So it's to support the role of pepsin. So they have 2 enzymes to do the same function, we can say, but in a stepwise manner. How is stepwise manner? First, renin is acting on casein milk protein, and then the casein is converted into calcium paracaseinate, level 1. Level 2, the calcium paracaseinate is now ready to be worked upon by pepsin and further converted into proteoses and peptones. I told you proteoses and peptones are the small wall, parts of the wall that is broken from a big piece of wall. Okay? So, let me know if you have any problem up to this. Let me know. Yes, tell me if you have any problem, no doubt. Are you able to copy everything, children? Are you able to copy? Is this thing difficult? Is it easy or difficult? Tell me. Digestion of food is easy or difficult? Yes, children. Is this easy or difficult? So let us first name the products over here. So what we have is, we have first number 1, number 2, number 3, 3 things from this part, number 4. So your stomach also secretes small amount of gastric lipase. Small amount means negligible. It's like very, very small amount of. So let's first, we have done with up to stomach part. So let's finish over here up to today. We will be doing up to this only. In the next class when we meet, we will be starting up with the layers of the, with the particular parts of the intestine, how the digestion of food takes place in intestine, that is duodenum area. We will be going ahead with the absorption of the digested food and further particular disorders of the digestive system. So 3 topics are left in this chapter, and I will be giving you an assignment based on this today's class. It will be only 10 questions, and you need to just answer those. Will have 1 word or 1 sentence answer. Just take your 10 valuable minutes out of your schedule, and you'll need to answer those 10 questions. Obviously, I will be sending you after I reach home. So you need to do that for the next class. So whenever we meet in the next, I guess we'll be meeting on Monday only, or any time we'll be meeting on for the bio class. You'll be getting those answers to me. So in every class, we'll be having few assignments, just 10 minutes. I'll be discussing those assignments. Let us discuss the problems we face. Obviously, if we start early, okay, if we start early, all these problems handling will be actually very, very easy. We people will be more connected to each other in a way that you will be having more doubts. Obviously, I need you to have more doubts, because obviously if you have doubts, we are very, very happy in a way. Why? Because doubts, they come when you study. Okay, so obviously this is a small class, just of 2 hours. We won't be having much of detailed study, isn't it? So whatever you study, you are doing your self-study. This is only me teaching you. You're just understanding the thing. You're not learning it. So when you start to learn, when you go back home and do self-study, you will start to learn new things. So when you start to learn new things, you will actually face problems. And obviously when you face problems, we are here to help you out. Isn't it, Koima? Okay. Am I clear? So obviously I wish for every child that they have to go back home and they have to. You people were copying everything that was being taught? Yes, Koima, are we connected? Yes, you're copying. Very good. So, any doubt till now? Tell me. Do you have any doubt till now? Just flip through your pages and let me know if you have any doubt till now. Just go across everything, or shall we have a small revision? Tell me if you wish to have a small revision. I'm ready for that too. You're okay with it? No doubts? Want revision? You want revision? Okay, fine. So what we studied today, we started with buccal cavity. We had already done with teeth part. So I have revised that in the initial part of the class itself. We have tongue. Tongue has papillae, further taste buds. Okay, then I told you that spicy food has no taste bud, but it has pain receptors. Then I told you oral cavity and buccal cavity. Oral cavity and buccal cavity are basically the same thing, which is linked over here for pharynx, isn't it? Just look over in the slide. Common opening for food and air is called as pharynx. Pharynx opens into esophagus and trachea. I told you about epiglottis. Then I told you esophagus, this reaches to stomach, J-shaped bag. Food remains here for 4 to 5 hours. Then this is having 4 parts: cardiac, fundus, body, pyloric, with 2 sphincters, cardiac sphincter and pyloric sphincter. Then we talked about small intestine, which is 6 to 9 meter long with 3 parts: duodenum, jejunum, ileum. Large with 3 parts again: cecum, colon and rectum. Okay, cecum is a blind sac, has microorganisms, produces vitamin K, helps in absorption of vitamin B. Colon, 4 parts again. It has a vermiform appendix, which is vestigial. In humans, obviously, layers. We did with layers: serosa, muscularis, submucosa and mucosa, in the way outer to innermost. Then we saw the functions of mucosa: gastric rugae, villi, microvilli, brush border. Mucosa forms glands. In intestine, it forms lacteals that helps in absorption of fat. Then we have goblet cells in stomach, which secrete mucus. Just now we saw goblet cell in detail also. It forms gastric glands, it forms intestinal glands. Then the whole topic of alimentary canal was finished. We started with associated glands and salivary glands. Saliva production, the parotid part, submaxillary, submandibular, sublingual. These were the 3 parts of a salivary gland. 3 types, sorry. Esophagus has no glands. Stomach, it has 3: goblet cells, peptic cells, oxantic cells, parts of gastric gland, having different functions. That is, peptic cells or chief cells, pepsinogen or prorenin, that were inactive enzyme or zymogen. Then you have oxantic cell or parietal cell, secretes HCl at a pH of 1.8, plus Cassell's intrinsic factor, helps in absorption of vitamin B12, which is essential for RBC formation. Then we came to liver, which has 2 lobes. We saw the hepatic ducts coming out, then cystic duct, the duct of the gallbladder. Gallbladder does what? It stores the bile produced by the liver. Then we have common bile duct, which collects the bile and pancreatic duct. Together they are called as hepatopancreatic duct. Then we have sphincter of Oddi and duodenum. We came to pancreas. Pancreas, both exocrine, endocrine. We started digestion of food. We made the food a bolus by mixing with saliva. Then we swallowed the bolus. And then by the process of peristalsis, we send the food or the bolus into the esophagus, down. Then waves of contraction, relaxation, food reaches the stomach. Then saliva has a pH of 6.8, where it's secreted in oral cavity. It has two enzymes, lysozyme and salivary amylase. What does salivary amylase do? It breaks down starch, 30% of it, into maltose. Food reaches in stomach, where pepsinogen is activated, proline is activated and acts on the protein part of your food, breaking it into proteose and peptones. Similarly, in case of infants, small children, what we have is, we have casein. What is casein? Casein is a milk protein. Okay, casein is a milk protein, and this is broken down by renin in case of infants, and this casein is thought to converted into calcium paracasinate, which is acted upon by pepsin and converted into same products, that is proteoses and peptones. Okay, so this was what we were supposed to discuss, and obviously gastric lipase is there, but in very, very negligible amount. So much of lipase activity is not reported here. Okay, so this was a quick revision, or better we say small revision. So whatever doubts we are having, we will be going back home, collecting all of them, and for the next class, I will be expecting questions from your side too. Okay, I will be asking you questions today, no doubt, but I will be expecting questions from your side too for the next class. Okay, fine, thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, see you soon. Okay. You too have a great day. Good night.